Hello from gardening at Disa here in Ireland, and autumn is definitely in the air. I've been busy, dug up all my tenders from the garden and moved them to the greenhouse, and nearly all of them anyway, and so now I guess it's time for the October greenhouse update. So we're just going to start, I guess, as usual, with a bit of a pan around the greenhouse, but we'll go into the plants in more detail very shortly. And I had a bit of a panic last night because I thought the first frosts were going to happen, so it was a desperate rush to dig up all my bananas and other tender things and put them in the greenhouse. Now they're nearly all in here, except for the aeoniums, but we didn't have frost last night, so isn't that just the way? But it doesn't matter, at least the job is done now. And the greenhouse is kind of nearly complete, except if we look here at the very front, we've got a chair uselessly sitting there. There's a small table that's going to fit into this position here, and on it I'm going to put my aeoniums when I dig the remainder of them up. What we just see here is a few that have yet to find their position in the greenhouse. So I guess it's time for the greenhouse tour. And just for those of you who asked, Boo Boo is back. She spent the summer in the garden in her summer quarters, and now she's back to mind all the plants here in the winter in the greenhouse, and she looks very happy about it too. So thank you, Boo Boo, for such a wonderful job. And now let's hear about the plants in a bit more detail. I guess to start off we'll have a look at this central section to the greenhouse, where I've just put in the garden table and put a couple of plants up top, and the Tipicina is here, which is looking really fantastic. Looked really well for such a long time, since, I don't know, late summer. Those beautiful purple flowers, and I'm really pleased with how it's doing. And my tree ferns, of course, are tucked in there, and that very big tall one there is my Brugmansia, which I hope will flower very soon. It's a winter flowering plant, and mine certainly flowers in winter, and I look forward to it, but I hope I can spot the flowers up that tall in the greenhouse. It really is above my head. And as you can see, the tree ferns have done really well this summer, producing lots and lots of new fronds. And here in the border we have, beside my Protea, which is a permanent fixture in the border, and I did make a video about how I grow this one, but in any case it is putting out new flower heads, so I can look forward to winter flowering of my Protea as usual. Really pleased about that. There's another flower head over here, and maybe one up at the very top here. It's getting quite tall, you know. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll have to wait and see, but it may be that there comes a point when I need to prune it a bit better than I've been doing. We've got bananas moved in. This is Musa tiger stripes, and my Ensete. I've originally had two Ensetes, and those of you who watched my propagation of Ensete video last November will recall that one of them was for the chop and ended up producing lots and lots of babies, and we'll see those babies in just a few moments. But this is the one I didn't chop up, and it's doing really well. And then just a little note that there beyond is my final surviving Brugmansia, and this is Brugmansia sanguinea, and it is beginning to produce flower spikes, and about time, because this is a really large plant that I've planted in the border and allowed to strut its stuff, but only on condition that it produces lots and lots of flowers. So I am expecting a really fantastic show from it before very long. That's my expectation. Let's see if it pans out. There's another bud there. And then just up here beside the Protea, and we've got some citrus plants in here, etc, etc. At the very end we have the baby Ensete Abyssinian bananas that I talked about just recently, the ones I propagated last November. And you can see I've sold some of them, but the tallest ones really are quite tall, and we have some smaller ones, and they're all doing really quite well. Nice colouring on them too. So I'm going to have a bit of a problem next year when it comes time to overwinter. I'm going to have a great display next summer in the garden with all of these Abyssinian bananas that I can put in my borders. But next summer, next autumn, that's when the problem starts, when I have to dig them up and find space here in the greenhouse. So I will probably sell a few between now and then. This corner here is my epiphyllum corner, and I have a lot of epiphyllums. I'm accepting no more epiphyllums, so don't tempt me by saying, oh, this one's gorgeous, that one's gorgeous. I just don't want to know. I really have more than I can cope with. And the bigger ones down below, and then just here we have dormant bulbs, so ones that need to be kept dry, and they've all been tucked in here in this corner where I won't water them by accident. And it's a funny story really, because I'd just done this and I really realised that the heater cable had to come in, and of course it comes in here in that corner, so all the pots had to be moved. You'd think I'd have the hang of it by now. Just beyond my epiphyllums on this section of the staging are my naked ladies, or my pelargoniums, and this year I cut them back according to specialised instructions that I received, and now they are just beginning to wake up. So the idea is you cut them back and certainly take off all the leaves, and at this stage they're just coming back into leaf. With careful watering, what you don't want to do is just kind of drown them in water, and I think they're coming back as they're supposed to. So the idea of getting rid of the leaves is that you actually get rid of any pests that have been knocking around as well. Anyway, if you want to see more about pelargoniums, then you really should check out my friend Liga Plata's channel called Pot of Jewels, because she has lots and lots of information there about this and other things to do with pelargoniums. Just to the right here we have my papaya trees. These are the smaller ones that have done really quite well. Oh, that's the bigger one just there. And I just potted one of them on into a bigger pot. It's in quite a big pot. I wasn't sure how they might respond doing it this late, but actually I was silly. I should have done them all, because it's really doing quite well. And here on the lower level of my staging we have various plants, including that chrysanthemum that I bought at the Tatton Park show early on this year, and it has a bud, so I will get some flower here before very long. We also have a number of cacti and succulents, including that box of little baby ones, and I will keep these bone dry now going through the winter. And then just here what we have are some spring bulbs, spring things that I've potted up. And look at these cute little pots here. These are ones with a chalkboard at the very front, and I've just written in chalk the name of the crocus that's in that particular pot. So I mean, it's actually quite difficult to write like that at the side, but so my writing is messy, but I think they're the cutest things. My son got me these for Christmas one year, and I'm delighted to finally use them. And behind, some more crocuses, a scilla, and I think that's all. Oh yeah, okay, here what we have are my Disa orchids. So these are wet orchids that do particularly well for me in my cool greenhouse, and I divided them and repotted them a little while ago, and was astonished to find I now have 20 pots of Disas. Can you imagine? So not all of them are flowering size, but I should get a good flowering display next year. These ones here, I imagine, are going to be flowering size. Now, I did this repotting a little bit late. I did it in October, but better late than never. And I just find it impossible in spring or summer to get around to a lot of these jobs. And my philosophy is that you need to do things when you have the time to do them, and it's better to do them at the wrong time of year than not at all. So we now have 20 pots of Disa orchids. And leaving behind the Disa orchids, we move up to the section where my seedlings are. And here we have various exotic seedlings, Valtimia namely. We have the hollyhock seeds that I bought in Tatton Park and sowed. And we also have foxglove seeds and lots more over here, just beyond here. This whole tray is full of them. So again, these were sown a bit late, but we'll see how they go. Now this is going to have to be pricked out very soon and put into individual pots, but I'll give them a bit longer before I do that. And over here, right by the door, I've put plants that I need to spend special attention to their watering. So we have the Cuphea, which had to be cut back again because it got underwatered, and this guy here, which also needs careful watering, and just by having them by the door, I hope that I'll pay attention to that. Also, my Coronilla, which is beautifully scented, so that's a nice thing to have at the door. It's not actually in flower at the moment, but I imagine it'll come again soon. And the problem with the last one I had was that I forgot to water it completely. So if I have it by the door, I should remember it better. And here behind we have my camellia, which I hope to get flowers on this spring. Oh yeah, and the Irene, this one here, strangely enough, it also needs watering, more watering than many other things in the greenhouse. And now we're going to spend some time talking about the display side of the greenhouse. So that is the small plants in pots that I've placed here on this shelving, and that I expect to look good for the winter. Now some of them won't look good all winter, but I'll rotate them and we'll get around it like that. So first of all, we have some little violas, and some of you may have seen my winter fern planter video where I made up this planter here, and I had a few violas left over, so they have found a place in little pots around the greenhouse, and I think the planter has turned out really quite well. Lots of little faces looking up at me when I come in here. And just to the left of it here, another pot of leftover violas that do a good job in just brightening up this shelving. Coronilla is down below, and as you can see, it has a healthy looking bud that is about to open, and it looks very orange. I thought this produced a yellow flower. Maybe I was wrong. And that's flanked by Compton's Carousel, which is a lovely, lovely Echeveria that produces these very pretty colours. Now mine this year has been producing a lot of almost white rosettes. So this one here has some green in it, see in there, but this one here seems to be completely white. And I imagine that the only reason why this is still around is because it's attached to the parent plant, so it's getting its nutrition from that. Because of course, if plants are completely variegated, i.e. completely white, they're not producing chlorophyll and they can't feed themselves and they die. So it's, you know, we all like variegation, but not too much. You can have too much of a good thing to the detriment of the plant. And here we have Crassula perforata that I believe is in flower. And a very dainty thing it is too. This is one that's really grown for the leaves, for the succulent leaves, because the flower really isn't anything to talk about. But it's pretty. And here in front, Kalanchoe chocolate soldier. Gorgeous, gorgeous warm colours there. Make me think of chocolate cake and all kinds of good things. My bouffon is looking fabulous as usual. Still in full leaf and still with these crinkledy edges. A super wonderful plant. And it will go dormant soon, but not just yet. This little succulent is also throwing up a flower spike, and I think they're quite ordinary really, green and white, but green flowers are very cool, so this is something to look forward to. And I'm hurting my hand as I place it back against that agave. Up above we have Hymanthus albiflos, which doesn't have an amazing display this year. This is what the flowers look like. And of course it's a South African bulb, or bulbs as the case may be. We've got lots in here, and a reliable flower that does take up a lot of space, but it likes to be cramped in its pot, so that's a good thing. And just over here, another South African bulb, this time Veltimia. We saw its seedlings down below in the seed tray, just a little while ago, and I have 4 bulbs producing growths this year, so I expect 4 pink flower spikes before very long, and I'll be delighted with that. And down below it we have this funny little Crassula that is in bud and has been in bud for a very long time. I wonder, will these flowers ever open? Moving along, we have various succulents. We have nerines in spike, so next time we look in here we're sure to have nerine flowers looking really good. And oh yeah, I have to show you my Orbea, which is just coming to the end of its flowering, but wow, look at those amazing flowers, aren't they fantastic? Absolutely mesmerizing. Golden flowers. There used to be a flower there, so I think it's gone, but I'm really delighted to have that. And down below it we have a little Echeveria that is going to flower soon. And this is one I propagated earlier on in the year. You may recall my Echeveria propagation video, and I took some leaves of this and propagated it. But I'm pleased it's going to flower. I'm just kind of rotating it to best effect, but I think it was the right way to start with. And then just over here, let me show you this kind of bonsai pelargonium. So this is Pelargonium cotyledonus, also known as old man live forever. And if you look at the trunk, it really is a gnarled, peeling, wizened thing. Really, really interesting. And I think my favourite pelargonium. Here we have a codex plant, which is one with a growth that sits proud of the soil, very like a large carrot or potato or something. But this is Protea, and even though small, it's looking quite good. I haven't had it for very long, haven't brought it through winter yet, but it is doing well. One of these things that you need to make sure to not water too much. And what else can I show you? We have my Syningia, finished flowering. Also a codex plant, which you can see by this growth that sits proud. And this will go dormant before very long. But next year then it will send up new silver spikes and produce its orange tubular flowers once again. At the back here we have a little kind of stand that I had in the house but wasn't using for anything, so I just brought it out here to put in the greenhouse and just hold some of these succulents up to get better light, because it's hard to get enough light for some of the small ones, and it doesn't take up much space tucked here at the back of the greenhouse shelving. And just down here we have a fuchsia that I grew from seed, and this is Fuchsia boliviana, and it's the alba form, the white form, which means it has these white outers to its funnels but red inners down here. And this is the first time it's flowered. I think you saw it about to flower and in bud in previous videos. It only produced one cluster of flowers this year, but it's still welcome, and I just broke off one of the flowers and I'm very pleased with it. So hopefully that'll come through the winter for me this year and do really, really well next year. And that brings me to the end of my October greenhouse update. The greenhouse almost fully prepared for winter now at this stage. I hope you liked the video, and if there was a particular plant you wanted to hear about that I didn't cover, then please let me know in the details below and I'll be sure to talk about it in the next update. In the meantime, Boo Boo says goodbye from her greenhouse, and I thank you once again for watching, and check back soon for lots more plant stuff. Bye!